rise up, don't get all tied up. Hoping you wise up. The multiple lies of the multifaceted, multi-complex system of living that people are living. Stuck in inertia, that's a diversion. Government worship, instead we are searching ancient mysteries, ancient history, sacred energy, and how to discern it. Human autonomy, truth and philosophy, UFOlogy, human psychopathy, super anomalies, human ecology, you got lobotomies up in your consciousness. All the thoughts that we've been dancing around. The system wants to blow your candle out, but we won't let it. We reject it with our pathetic lies, so we chant it down.
Chant It Down podcast is your gateway to your unraveling of a complex system that is grabbing hold of the lives of you and everyone you know. Come untangle from this woven web to understand this crazy world. Chant It Down with your host, Loomis.
Everyone, welcome back to Chant It Down. I'm your host Loomis. This is episode 289, and we're streaming live from only YouTube. What the heck? Okay, well, Rumble is having some troubles, so
Rumble is having trouble.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, but we can take callers later, and anyone can chat. Welcome, everyone, to the release of Sacred Sight, the documentary. Finally, we're here. I've been talking about this thing for a long time on this show, and now you have it. And after this show is over, go to sacredsight.info, go to the link, and watch away. But today, I got with me a couple people from the show, and that is none other than Triffin and Seb from the show. And we're waiting on Zach as well. I don't know if Zach's going to show up or not, but hopefully he does. And welcome, guys.
Thanks, Loomis.
Yeah.
Thanks for everything you guys contributed to the documentary. It was awesome to have you guys on there and work with you guys. So just a great overall time.
That was very cool. It's very cool. Yeah, it's an honor to be a part of it, and to see that it's full. Obviously, we watched a sneaky copy. However, to see it finally released and to see all the cool things and everybody that contributed, it was an excellent thing to be a part of, and thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
Same here. It was an honor, and I just thrilled to see it, see the whole thing, see the director's cut and everything. It's just awesome. Very, very, very proud of you and all your hard work, dude.
Thank you.
Very much.
Well, you guys added a lot of flavor to it, because it'd be boring if I did it by myself. That's for sure. Well, I'm happy to announce that it's live now as we speak. I said I was going to make it live after this, but instead I just did it before. But before anyone checks it out, hang out with us. I don't have a lot of people yet. It's kind of a weird time of day, but essentially the documentary is 3 movies. That's how I have it on there now. I got the theatrical release, which is for those who just want to get straight to the adventures and easy to watch, 8 chapters. Show this to like a regular audience. And then I got parts 1 and 2 of the director's cut. I decided to break it up into 2 movies. Part 1 is I'm calling the Eastern Hemisphere. It sets the stage for the line of thinking here. It sets up a lot of the facts. This is where I kind of come with receipts, like in case anyone out there is like, those ideas are preposterous. That's not what my professor told me. You know, those kind of people, they'll need to see that for, knowing where this kind of thought's coming from. And then part 2 is the Western Hemisphere, and this is more the heart of the movie. These are the new sites and adventures, mostly here in Hawaii and Australia, and this is where a lot of truth comes out, and everyone's in the second half. So once someone is done watching the theatrical version, which I recommend maybe watching first, you might want to watch the director's cut, which has 10 chapters versus 8 with the theatrical. But so that's how it's set up on there for anyone who wants to watch. And yeah, so anyway, that's it. It's out there now for everybody.
That's very cool, man. It's very cool. I've shared this link to my Facebook and everything else, a couple of different groups on Facebook. So hopefully, because obviously I'm in Brisbane, so we're waiting for a cyclone to come in. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now that is modified weather. If you don't, if you ask me, this thing is.
Yeah. Yes.
So is a cyclone is that like a hurricane then?
Hurricane, yeah.
Yeah.
So just for context, I live in southeast Queensland. The last time a cyclone or hurricane came anywhere near the coast was over 70 years ago. It hasn't happened. Another 1 in 100 year event, boys. It's almost like they happen every 6 months.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, it's hard. I don't know. It's very strange. So basically, it was supposed to hit last night. I honestly didn't think I was going to make this. It is moving very slowly. It's only a category 2 still, moving slowly towards the coast, and it's going to hit about 4 o'clock this afternoon, they think. And yeah, we're probably going to get about, what's that, 700 mil, 800 mil of rain potentially. So what's that? 8 times 4 is 32 inches of rain in a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's going to
that's what's coming. Yeah, look, everything's prepped. You know what I mean? There's nothing much we can do. However, yeah, it sort of went out and then went bang straight towards southeast Queensland, the most populated area, one of the most densely populated areas on the east coast of Australia. So
now the ground out there is not very porous, right? It tends to be drier land where that it can't just absorb that much water, right?
Well, no, it's been dry for the last few weeks, but everything is still very wet. It's not going to take much. There is flooding happening on the coast as we speak. I'm about 60, 70 k's inland from the coast, and it started to lightly rain this morning, and basically it's going to get worse and worse as the next couple of days go on. So, yeah, look, it's my birthday tomorrow. I was going to have a poker night with the boys, and we called that off. So,
happy birthday.
So I was looking forward to having a poker night, but that's not happening. So
yeah. Well, the way that storm is turning and the way that you never get them is kind of suspicious to me. I mean,
never get them and should never get them.
Right.
Is the two things there. So it's like, yeah, it's hard not to say. It smells, man. It smells like everything else. It smells.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, Seb, you've been through a few storms that have hit probably your part of Big Island, like a few close to hurricanes, right?
Yeah, only one where it came off the south. This was maybe less than a year ago, but there was one that passed by pretty close. And yeah, we got probably 30 inches of rain in 2 days, but the ground here can just absorb it. It's just all lava rock. So we, flooding isn't really a thing because it's just a totally different ground.
Yeah, but the question now, boys, is how bad does the flooding get? That's the only question now. Unfortunately, well, Loomis has been here. It didn't look like this last time you were here, mate. But we're up on a hill, so we're going to be high and dry. I've just got to deal with water coming through my property this way, and then.
There's Zach.
Hey guys.
Hey Zach.
Man?
How's it going, Zach? Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Going good.
All right.
Good.
Well, Zach,
sorry I'm late to the party.
Oh, you're right. Better late than never. All good. That's Triffin, as you've seen in the documentary, and
hey,
Triffin.
Seb.
And
hey, Seb.
Yep.
What's up, Zach?
All right.
Right on.
Well,
exciting times, man.
So I've got a couple of questions for you through that. Teasing the documentary without releasing it. How much of that cane grass did you boys eat through those hills there?
Oh, how much do we eat?
Yeah. Your legs. How many spikes did you eat?
I think in my bloodstream for sure.
Yeah, I showed my daughters the copy last night, and they're like, they're interested. They're still young. However, they're like, what is that grass? Does it spike them? Like I had to feel like 30 questions about when you boys were wandering through the grass.
Yeah, it's terrible stuff. On the Kauai expedition was just full of it, but I think on our expeditions, Seb and Zach, we probably ran into quite a bit. I didn't notice it as much, but pretty bad, right?
Yeah. Stuff's
Yeah.
tall, man. You just kind of get lost in it almost.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain to them, that grass was overhead height when you guys were on your
Oh,
expedition.
yeah.
Like, how do you actually get your bearings if it's that tall?
Well, that's when you send out the drone.
Send the drone out and get a bearing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, we didn't do that time, but the first thing I did by myself here on Oahu was really tall grass, and that's when I banged my knee pretty bad. I was bleeding a lot. I showed a brief clip of it there, but yeah, I still got a nasty scar. For that was some sharp lava rock. I could feel it like grind right through my skin. Oh, fuck. It hurt. But guys, I'm just excited to have you all here. I want to thank you all for coming and doing the documentary and all the expeditions. Without giving it away too much, I wanted to kind of, without giving too many spoilers away, kind of talk about some of our expeditions. I guess we could start talking about our Big Island adventures first. I mean, I did 3 expeditions with, well, 2 with Seb, or 1 with Seb, and then 2 with you guys, and that was quite a mission, and we had some crazy synchronicities. But yeah, I don't know if you guys want to talk about that one first.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where my understanding of the Lost Pyramids of Hawaii were, from that book that we had. And so this seemed like a good place to start. And I think it's cool how it led to all the other expeditions on 3 other islands, Oahu, Maui, and Kauai.
Yeah.
It's still a mystery of who built these structures the Big Island.
I've got a question that you guys didn't do in the documentary. Where did the book come from? You guys just kept saying mystery book.
The reason I wanted to say the reason why I called it a mysterious book rather than just gave the title, because I don't want other people going out searching for it, getting lost, possibly dying somewhere,
Yeah, right.
I mean, and so that's why I kept it a secret, not because I want to, but because I don't want people copying and going, oh, let's go try to find it, and then they get, kicked off private land at the very least, blame us, or so it's mysterious.
We'll keep it as a mysterious book, but was it an explorer's account or something like that, was it, that you found?
Yeah, it was.
G'day, James, as well. G'day, James. James has joined the chat.
Yep. Hey, James. Welcome. Yeah. Chat away in the chat, guys. Only got one. Yeah, it's not really good time of day, but it'll fill up. I advertised it. But yeah. So you guys, though, we followed the instructions from this book, and we kind of just every time it was hard because it's looking for a needle in a haystack. But we got some pretty good clues, and I'm not even going to say we didn't find it. We just don't know. It's like we need more. We need LiDAR. We need things that can actually find out what we're looking at. We're looking at a lot of overgrowth, and there's a lot
huge overgrowth.
Huge.
I mean, huge overgrowth. If there's something there, and it was there a long time ago, then it could be buried, especially on the side of the mountain where the weather hits it the most, because the weather really comes in from one side. I guess the eastern side it blows in from, and so that side would have way more buildup on it of dirt from just hundreds of thousands of years of leaves falling and becoming soil that could just become extremely thick, 50, 100 feet, who knows how thick of soil. Whereas when you look on the other side of that potential pyramid, it's way steeper and has way less buildup. So I mean, it's very hard to tell, but it's, you know, the whole thing's covered in trees, and it's hard to tell, you know.
Yeah, it was dangerous on that second expedition that Lou and I did. We started off early, and then we were deep in the jungle, and it was starting to rain, and we had to use our machetes to make a trail. I mean, we were going. I love that Emerson quote: don't go where the path leads, go where there is no path, and leave a trail." And that's what we did. And on the way out, we temporarily lost sight of our trail, and that's why we're not really putting out all the information about the book we heard, because it is a dangerous expedition. And the auntie that we were talking to that kind of filled in some blanks for us, she said that there were people that had been rescued a week prior that were out there hiking, and they had to get rescued by helicopter, and so it was exciting, but it was also dangerous. And I just, yeah, you've got to be careful when you're an explorer, especially here on the Big Island, because it's so big, it's so untouched, and you know, good thing, you know, we all did our research, we prepped as best as we could. We had Seb with his knowledge of, you know, backpacking and being in the jungle, and we did the best we could, and we still kind of came up a little short on confirming if the you know, the pyramid here on the Big Island is in fact a pyramid, which is why we want LiDAR, which is why we need LiDAR.
Yeah.
And
We all need
so
LiDAR.
that's kind of
we need a LiDAR drone for sure.
yeah.
Unfortunately,
And as
those don't
technology
come
gets
cheap.
better, we'll get a better drone. None of our drones could carry a LiDAR, but eventually it'll happen. And so the mystery's still there.
It is still there, and yeah, we had that day was pretty crazy. Now, I want to go back and talk a little bit about some of the synchronicities. So, I don't think Triffin, you know this story, but when I stayed over at Zach's and we got up really early in the morning, we saw a UFO in the sky going the exact direction where we were going, and it was, you know, pretty impressive. But then that night, we saw probably like 15 UFOs, but we saw a particular one that we got on the video that was really bright. We all saw it, and it was just the exact same thing we saw that morning. And that was pretty interesting in itself. So it's like we were kind of guided along on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And we also met, well, you and me, Zach, we met that auntie, which was another kind of magical little twist in the whole time, where she's like, oh, yes, and that's actually, some people think that's a pyramid. But I mean, the UFOs that was quite the night. I mean, I haven't, that sticks out of my memory the most out of that trip, was those that night camping.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I've seen UFOs so many times in my life, you know, camping out in backcountry areas, going Sasquatching and seeing all kinds of stuff. But that was, I have to say, the biggest concentration of UFOs in what, a half hour. It all just came all at once. It was like about a half hour as we were sitting around our campfire, and I mean, this sky was just alive. There was just one every minute or two. It was just amazing.
And they seem to be converging right over us too.
Oh, they were just passing right over our heads.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was wild.
So, boys, just to get a bit of context with these UFOs, because as I say, there's some in the documentary. Number one, I think we're all understanding the issues with digital zoom these days and trying to capture these things. That's one of the problems that I do see with a lot of the footage. But were they swirling around, or, you know what I mean? What were they doing?
But at the same time, I would just say that, and you guys jump in, I'd just say, I think the video that Loomis put in the movie of that one that passed over, the brightest one, as he zooms in, you can really see, if you really look closely at that clip, it really shows it pretty well, like how the almost liquid light nature of it, you know, there's really I think that clip does a great job of showing what these UFOs look like. You know,
It was almost like crystal like,
it's like crystal light. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
trippy.
Yeah.
So like, if we were gonna say, because obviously we've seen a lot of footage, the orbs. So these were more like the orb types.
This was an orb. This was the classic ball of light, steady white light, which has all the colors in it. And when I zoomed in on my cell phone, got in really close, you could see almost like a star where it's kind of looks liquid and moving, and you could see all the different colors. But what stood out about that is that it actually turned off its light when it got above us. It was the bright ball of light coming right at us. I mean, we were already looking up, and it almost knew. And right when it got above us, right before I stopped recording, which I shouldn't have done, I should have kept recording, but then it turned red and then turned off.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
And I had been in touch with a famous UFO researcher.
Oh yeah.
That day, and Loomis said maybe you should ask him about the pyramid because we were kind of coming up short. So I did. I sent out a text. I happened to have the guy's number because he left his card on on the door of my store, and I reached out to him. I asked him about the pyramid, and he said yes, that it was guarded by machine gun carrying, with dogs and all these other things. And that's another synchronicity, is that the second time we went in search of, I didn't reach out to this guy, but he texted us that morning, almost like he knew we were going, which to me stands out. Like, how could that have been? Like any other day, it would have just been a random text, but this was like while we were continuing the adventure. And
when I came back to the island, he happens to text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those synchronicities are what causes me to think there's more to it than just a sighting in the sky. Like it's got to be some kind of connection. And like you said, the first flyover that morning at 6:00 a.m. when we left was in the direction of the pyramid. Ball of light, low, no sound. I live right by an airport, and I know what planes look like. They always have blinking lights. This was a steady ball of light, and it was lower than any other plane in the sky. And so, yeah, we were being guided in a way, and it's just mind-blowing, because I think it's all connected, the UFO UAP phenomenon and the star visitors, as the Hawaiians refer to them. It's almost like they're wanting us to wake up, to go in search of these mysteries, because there's a part of history that's been hidden, and that's what you've covered in the documentary. This cover up, just like you did in Australia with the lines and the dating of this the material. There's a cover up going on, and they're kind of rooting that we can wake up and uncover these mysteries. And that's what the documentary is all about, is about furthering that mission that all of us are playing a part in. And it's just so cool, because nothing else beats that to me. Like, it's just such a fun, exciting adventure. And yeah, Loomis kind of brought me out of, not retirement, but I wrote about this Hawaiian pyramid over 10 years ago. When I first moved to the islands back in 2011, 2012, I was writing about all this because I stumbled upon that book. And, that research that I did led to me starting a business, Big Island Ghost Tours. I was getting into turning it into a career. And then business kind of got in the way of the adventure. And so Lou brought me back to that sense of adventure. And that's what your viewers, that's what anyone that sees the documentary, that's what they have. And that they're channeling is that sense of adventure. And that's why it's so cool to be a part of this with you guys. Because
yeah. And then Seb brought me to the realization, like, I didn't know anything about this. So he was the one who brought me, I didn't know about the Big Island Pyramid. He's like, I want to go find it. I'm like, let's do it. And then when I think about, like, with you, Triffin, we've been covering this kind of stuff for years. I mean, you actually brought me out of, like, I've always been interested in this stuff, but, I've been, reporting on, what's going on in the world and this crazy, COVID times and way before. But you kind of brought me, like, out of that and go, I really like, this is the stuff I like. Like, yeah, I can talk all day about what's going on in the world, but that's kind of gloomy and dark. This stuff is exciting and fun. And like,
Yeah.
we get to find new things, and the world's not unexplored. So, you know, all of you contributed in ways we don't even really put together here, but it all came about. I mean, you know, it built itself. That's what I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is the coolest, and we get to camp out in hammocks and freeze our ass off all night, and you know, it's
That's
kind of,
part
and
the
then
fun,
we're
though.
all,
That's part of the
the
fun.
three of us.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Triffin, but the three of us are all parents. We all have kids. And so it's like, man, we got to do something crazy like this just to be able to have a time to get out, you know?
Yeah, we're gonna go search for a lost pyramid. That's how we get out of the house. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, look,
dude, we got to have a real good reason, you know?
I understand. Look, you know, I showed my youngest daughter didn't see my part in the documentary. She watched most of it, but she fell asleep just before it got to me. But my eldest stayed up and watched it, and for me, it was pretty cool to see the look on their faces. You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, this is actually Daddy's. You know, I sort of said to him, I said, "This is important to me, girls. This is my passion project. This is what I do for me. This is, you know what I mean? And this is what we're talking about. You know, we're talking about the adventure. And if you didn't have to freeze your ass off in a hammock overnight, then what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, there must be adversity, and these secrets are hidden books. They are few and far between, and we've got to look. You know.
Yep.
Getting a little feedback there from something.
Yeah, someone's reverberating there. I'm not who. Yeah.
Oh, weird. All right, but yeah. So Triffin, we went on that adventure too. I did with you, and that was an all day. That was interesting when you took me to the. I guess the imprint. All right, we can talk about it. You know, now that's out. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
The imprint's right there, boys. There's the imprint of the imprint. Right there.
Wow.
Oh, you got it.
yeah, that's right there.
Yeah. So
awesome.
when you took me there, it kind of opened up my eyes to that something was cutting stone in Australia. And we found that wall at the church. And you know, the Gympie Pyramid.
That is amazing. That church wall where they've moved those stones. Yeah. I mean, that just looks like Incan. It looks like everything from around the world. It's amazing.
And the strange thing is, boys, is that it echoes in the town, right? So obviously they moved that polygonal masonry wall to the church from wherever it came from. And look, the reality is we don't know. However, that style of stonework, if you start driving around, you know, we saw a few moves. Like you just drive up a street and there's a retaining wall that someone's tried to emulate polygonal masonry. So it's like in this random town in Queensland.
It's not a big town. It's small.
No, it's not. What the key here is, boys, is that it's a next gold mining town. Okay, there was gold in them there hills, right? Mm-hmm. So then that opens up the cultures as to who may have came here for that said gold, because the Indigenous Australians had no use for gold. They were more interested in crystal, which is another interesting story. However, yeah, it's fascinating. The wall is interesting, where it came from. The imprint is interesting. And look, I thought we went back to the imprint site. I won't give away the revelation in the documentary, but we went back to the imprint site and there's more holes there. There's more stuff there. We also found another imprint that looks like a gateway, right? That's the stuff we found just last month. And you talk about synchronicities. So me and Loomis have gone there. I've been there half a dozen times doing different research, taking different measurements, blah, blah, blah. And then this one day after the discovery that's revealed in the documentary, we won't give it away, talked to a friend of mine. He's like, mate, I've got Monday free. Have you got Monday free? I've never got Mondays free. I had a Monday free. We go out there and the water has washed away because there was a lot of rain through there, has washed away a lot of the dirt and stuff that's covering the plateau and revealed all this new stuff. And it's like if we had gone there another day, then the sand would be back, the dirt would be back, and we wouldn't be able to see it, right? And you know, there's like a proper gateway, boys, that we saw. Well, it's not, it's the markings for a gateway. I have got a plateau photo if we want to have a look at that. You can't see any detail of it where we found there's 3 sites on the one side.
Yeah, you want to put it on, you can.
Yeah, I can, man. Oh, where are we? Can I present?
Let me just address this guy here in the
Yeah,
chat.
do that, man. Do that, man.
He says the problem with the website, go to sacredsite.info. That's where you can now go to.
Post it in the chat, brother.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right. Let's see. Oops, all caps.
All right. So can you boys see that?
Let me put it on the screen here.
Oh, yes. Zero mistakes here. It's all professional.
There we go. Oh, yeah. Never a
So
mistake.
that's the plateau, right? So where 1 is where the imprint is, okay? Where 2 is where the first bunch of holes were that we found. That me and Loomis took good footage of, and that footage was used to reveal something very cool. Number 3 is where the third imprint holes are. Oh yeah, look at that technology. And you can sort of see that there. Look at that. Right where that red hammer is, there's a bit of a doorway there. I might send myself a better photo of that because I'm happy to share that because that's very in infancy, but it's just a bit of a tease.
Yeah.
And we would not have seen that. We would not have seen that if we hadn't gone there on that day at that time. And there's a whole more bunch of stuff that is coming from that. I mean, we might be looking at, boys, a representative of the Milky Way or something like that. I'm not real sure at this point. The research continues.
Well, the Milky Way is exhibited in a lot of cultures. The Peruvians,
exactly right. Yeah.
The Egyptians. I mean, if you go to Machu Picchu, the Urubamba River down below is representative of the Milky Way in their culture. So they, I mean, if you think about it, it would have been the brightest thing that you'd see in the sky besides the moon. It would have been the most important thing to see in the sky. It would be the Milky Way. Yeah. But so yeah, all these adventures, and then with Kauai, I mean, that's an adventure we're gonna have to go back to. But your friend Zach was the one that kind of made that known, and then connecting with him was just pretty cool because it kind of confirmed it.
Yep.
Yeah, Portland. So you don't.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been there a couple times, and he's a I think a social studies teacher, and so he comes from an academic background, and he felt like this spiritual calling to search for this pyramid, which is what I felt at first too, that there was something deeper involved here, and that just confirmed it, and he I don't know if he saw the pictures, but there's these columnar basalt stones on Kauai, and he was talking with a resident that basically confirmed that there's more than one pyramid on Kauai. And going back to the Milky Way and to the stars, the Hawaiians were very adept at navigating by the stars, and as with most Polynesian seafarers, that was their GPS back then. And so, where's the best place to see the stars? From a mountaintop. And if you don't have a mountain, you build one. You build a pyramid. You build a heiau. You build, something to get you closer to the stars. And that's a similarity that can't be overlooked in this documentary is these cultures that never had connections, supposedly, according to mainstream archaeologists, were not in touch with each other. I don't remember ever reading about the Mayans being in touch with the Aborigines or with the Hawaiians or things like that. But they have similar legends, similar structures, and so when you can see it with the site, the sacred site, then you start to piece the dots together. And that's what this documentary does. It pieces it together, brings people up to speed. You know, if you don't have years and years to do the research, watch this documentary. It'll bring you up to speed with things and show you how everything's connected and how it's been covered up for so long.
Yeah.
If I could add one thing to that is that, you know, the area where we looked for the pyramid on the Big Island, that area, according to Hawaiians, and I know a older Hawaiian guy who's very much very in touch with the history and the spiritual truth of their culture and everything, and he told me that area is very, very sacred area in the past to the Hawaiians, and that also was a place where the kahuna, the spiritual kind of leaders, would go to meet with the star people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that what you were saying, Zach, where all these cultures around the world, if there's that commonality as well. They might not have all been directly at the time connected with each other, but they all talk about
The visitors.
You know, meeting with these visitors. You know, so.
The main Echo Boys is the core story of these cultures, isn't it? They have a lot of the same creation myths. They have a lot of the same destruction myths, the flood myths. Right, there is a core story that, and the thing is, yeah, we could go from Australia through the South Pacific up to Hawaii, but it runs into Asia, boys. It runs into Europe, into North America, South America. This story echoes and echoes and echoes, and it's all pretty much the same. You know, if you account for cultural interpretation, it's the same story being told, right? So it's like, is it the same people? You know, did they go forth and, you know, give knowledge to the survivors of the cataclysm? I think that's what makes sense to me.
Well, you know, you think about, like, we were talking about the age of these possible pyramids on the Hawaiian Islands, and possibly down in Gympie and all that too. Is you got to think this stuff survived a cataclysm most likely, and then all this vegetation grew on top of it. So these things are so old. That's why they're so hidden. Like possibly even the indigenous people, maybe not Aboriginals, but Hawaiians, maybe came after all that was here. They didn't hardly even know it existed. You know, it was so overgrown.
Exactly. I mean, it could be. I mean, realistically, you know, understanding the BS of how these things are dated around the world, and understanding how the dates, the timelines we've been given, and you did a great job outlining that in the documentary. But yeah, once you understand that, then I mean, these things could be. Some could be 100,000, 200,000 years old. You know, it's we really just don't know. You know,
all the timelines are wrong, boys. I think that my interpretation is that all the timelines are wrong. I think there's because the timeline has been created to fit the narrative they want us to believe.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's the reality. You know, I mean, if you look at down here with the the Australian Indigenous, or the Aborigines, or I like that term too, boys. That's a good one. And if they were much more advanced than we're told, than we're taught in school. They had a much deeper understanding of many things. They had agriculture. They had basic agriculture. They had stone cities. More like hubs, you would say, like a community hub. There'd be a main hall, and there'd be some hall, and there'd be grass and fields and wheat around it. But again, and you guys said that we have the same issues, is the explorers that came there worked for the Crown. Whatever they found was sent back to the Crown, and then it disappeared. Right? And it's only through, like, when you talk about mysterious books, I actually found it. So I've got this weird book guy that is down in Sydney. I'm going to try and ring him to find the book on the Gimpy Pyramid Levels. I've lost his number and details for many years, because all the research we're operating off down here is the same thing. It's like excerpts out of an explorer's book, or, you know what I mean? It's like, we came over the hill and we saw a stone city huts. You know what I mean? That village built from huts out of stone. And the reality is, the English, by their own rules, they basically said a culture had to be at a certain level before they could invade it and take it over. The Indigenous were far past that. But it goes deeper as well, boys. They talk about the Indigenous knowing the Masonic language, right? So Captain Cook and his brethren were not exactly, because I know Captain Cook came to Hawaii as well. He wasn't just some lowly sailor. He was a high-level Masonic person. And the Indigenous could speak. There's actually stories, boys, of Indigenous being able to speak English when the explorers came upon them. Yes.
Oh,
wow. And Dutch. There's also stories of red-haired, fair-skinned Indigenous found up north as well. Like, when you start digging into the myth and the lore and the story, it's much deeper. Much deeper.
Yeah, it is. So,
and I think come back to my point. That's what connects us all, is the lore and the myth and the story, I think.
Yeah, and this is like the lost part of the world that doesn't seem to have megaliths and older things, but that's where this documentary, I think, comes in, is highlighting areas that the world's not searching for as much, here in Australia and the South Pacific, and and we'll continue to do that. I think that's what's great, is that this is kind of unexplored terrain. People aren't thinking to look in these places.
For the record too, boys, there's at least one pyramid was pushed into the ocean during World War II. But basically, post and during and then pre-World War II, a lot of this stuff was found. But then obviously post-World War II, which is the world we now exist in, a lot of that stuff was bulldozed. Right, so we had a Stonehenge down here that was older than the English Stonehenge. There was a pyramid up north that got pushed into the ocean. There's all sorts of stories if you start digging into it. And the problem is that they are just stories. And if we were to find a pyramid, we've got the same problem, different type of foliage, but we've got the same problem with overgrowth and canopy, and you can't
snakes.
see anything, and lots of snakes. Yeah, the girls said when you're walking through the long grass, they're like, "That's pretty dangerous, isn't there, snakes?" Because obviously we're in Australia, you wouldn't do that without proper boots and pants and stuff like, you know what I mean, just in case.
No way.
And I had to explain to them, no, Hawaii's different. So, no, you wouldn't start wandering through long grass like that without proper. Yeah. The supplies that we take into the bush down here, boys, are a little bit different than you take into the jungle up there.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky. We're pretty lucky.
We're lucky.
We can just scramble right through the heart of the bushes, and you come out with some cuts.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can get is a centipede, but probably not. They're more on the ground. But I mean, I don't know. But I think the worst thing that we encountered up here, but this is everywhere, is private property. Or as a kid, I like to call it private pooperty.
Private pooperty.
Private pooperty. I mean, so like just the fact that everybody owns this land, and I actually did research into getting a LiDAR drone rented to go over the Big Island spot, and you'd have to get permission from the landowner, and of course they're not going to let it happen because it's the Bishop Estate.
Right.
It's bullshit like that we got to deal with. So that's why I don't feel bad about entering private property.
Send the drone up. Pre-program your grid. Send the drone up. It'll be back in 5 minutes. Don't worry about it. The problem is
we need our own drone and our own LiDAR, so we're not limited by that.
Yeah.
I think if we could maybe convince David Childress, who's from Ancient Aliens, who I have a connection with, he might back it. We just got to present, show him the documentary, submit that article that we're talking about. He created the World Explorers Club magazine, and that's wexclub.com. And I signed Loomis up, and I've been a member for a while. And in the magazine,
wexclub.com, did you say that, mate?
Yeah, Wex, WEX, wexclub.com.
It's cool.
It's a really cool magazine. It's basically everything that we're doing put into a magazine. And in the magazine, he mentions if you have an outpost, if you know of a place that might be a good World Explorers Club outpost, to reach out to him. And I did, and he responded. And I created the World Explorers Club of Hawaii outpost. And so he's welcoming magazine subscription or submissions. And we're working on that article now, Lou and I, that we are going to send some of the research that we've done, just got to write it up and create some, rudimentary maps. But if we present him with a good argument, he might throw some money at it. And it'll only be a couple to a few $1,000s to get the drone and the LiDAR.
Yeah, there's not much these days. The technology's coming down every day.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
one of the latest DJI drone, I think it comes with it, but you can buy an attachment to put onto it.
Right. Yep, I've seen that. That's what we want.
Mm.
You know what happened to me on Maui is I was so pissed off. Maui pisses me off. I was trying to get an overhead. I don't know if you all saw the director's cut yet, but I went to the biggest heiau in Hawaii, and I'm ready to launch my drone, and they have it gridded off so that you can't launch a drone right there. It's like it's that tech over there already that I could not. It was illegal for me to launch the drone, so I couldn't get an overhead view of that, and I was pretty pissed off.
Why would that? And see, that's the stuff that gives me pause. Why?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Why have they put an electric fence around? Because that's obviously that's GPS positioning. They're recognizing there's a drone in the area. You can't get above it. Why? Mm-hmm. What's the harm in doing that? You know what I mean? Like what? Yeah.
Something
doesn't make sense.
It's the cover up. It's the cover up. And we got kicked off private property in our second adventure. That diverted us onto a mountaintop, but no regrets there because we saw those UFOs and everything, and had a great fire and a great night and everything. But
that was cool.
But just the fact
we did use our resources up faster because we had to climb up the side of a mountain,
and we ran out of water. What about that cow? There's a random cow on top of a mountain.
It ran by us in the middle of the night. It came so close, running by, and it left its hoof prints in the mud. I was like, what the heck is this cow thinking?
The luckiest cow in the world that escaped the slaughter.
Yeah.
It's been on the run for the last however long.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this thing built itself. That's this whole documentary, because when I first had the idea, I'm going to make a documentary, I came back from my Egypt trip and got all this footage, and I was like, yeah, but what can I add that's new that someone hasn't already said in Egypt? It's not like I'm an expert on Egypt, and it's not like I went anywhere that I shouldn't to find something new. So it just opened up, and you three helped open up this thing for everyone, and the documentary opened up by itself. I mean, like when I was over with you, Seb, on Big Island the first trip, I was like looking online like, God, there's got to be someone that knows about this shit. I mean, it's got to be somewhere. And then I found Zach's website. Never thought I would actually have Zach, and we would actually meet you, who knows? And then this came about. So just this thing really unfolded really cool. I couldn't say that I'm responsible for it,
Yeah. Happened organically.
It's
meant to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the imprint stuff, I've been looking for somewhere to publish that as well. So that's why when you said Wex.com, I'm going to get involved with that as well, because that imprint,
I think that'd be a great idea. And and mention me too. Mention Zach Royer. If you send an email, say, hey, I've been talking with Zach, or I'm podcast with Zach and Loomis, and address it to David Childress. He's the co-star of Ancient Aliens, and he's actually been here to the Big Island for one of the episodes.
He's been down here as well to the Gospel Glyphs. I mean, that was.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And so he knows.
Although they kind of like thought that one thing's tripping that looks like a UFO, but it's really a boat with oars, right?
Yeah, it's an upside down boat. It's not.
Yeah.
The Gospel Glyphs have been misinterpreted multiple times, and they're misunderstood. Actually, with this documentary, I've been holding back all my Gospel Glyph research for the documentary. So there's a whole heap of stuff that's coming out on my channel in the next few months, which is all the podcasts. Because I went down to the Gospel Glyphs at solstice time last year. There is some interesting alignments, or there may have been interesting alignments in the past. And yeah, that was a very cool trip as well. Went down there with John and Benny, and yeah, John helped us out with the matching the discovery that's in the documentary that it matched up with. And this stuff is fascinating, and it's not. I think UTC Unlocking the Code, we're looking at it from a different perspective as far as other alternative researchers here in Australia, looking at it in a more matter-of-fact way. Like, look, I want it to be all ancient aliens as well, boys, right? There's nothing more, I definitely believe. However, there's an alternative understanding that we need to look at, and we might get to ancient aliens, but we need to take the steps that we need to take to get to that.
Right.
And I think the reason that it can all be written off as aliens is that the history we've been taught is that the humans, or the variations of human that have existed, we've been taught that we were just knuckle draggers, wearing loincloths with big bats, and and that's what we've been taught, that who we are. Whereas I don't think that's who we are. If you think about what we've done in the last 200 years, then put that across 200,000 years, right? Well, I think that, here we go, see if I can drag it out of memory banks. If we work on 200,000, right, Homo sapiens sapien 200,000, we say that it's a generation is 25 years apiece, and it's weird how the numbers work out. That's 6,666 generations in 200,000 years. Now, in 8 generations, we went from horsebacks to rockets. So in 200,000 years, we did nothing. That's what we're told.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Right?
No, totally doesn't make sense. And you really piqued what you were saying there, in making the differentiation between maybe what is said on Ancient Aliens and then that not being the whole picture, just blaming it on aliens or something. In the documentary, Loomis shows this stone on, which island is it? The massive one just balancing there.
Oh, that's on this island, Oahu. Yeah.
That's on Oahu.
Lanai. Yeah.
Phenomenal. I never knew about that. I never knew about that. And but the legend says that it was floated from another island by someone. And I've heard so many things over the years that echo that same story. Like, for example, I read some of the accounts of the first Western people to ever make it into the Himalayas region, and they talk about encountering very masterful beings. A few very, very masterful, who knows how old, kind of youthful people who were able to levitate. The only way to get up to their little dwelling up at the side of a cliff was to stand on a stone that they could levitate all the way up there. And, I've heard many other things like this over the years, from coming from different cultures. And so, that's it kind of paints this picture where maybe we're not, like what you were saying, Triffin, we're not looking at hey, aliens did it. We're looking at, hey, maybe people with a higher spiritual awareness and spiritual ability were able to do these things, you know, defy these laws of physicality as we understand them to be, you know.
Well, I think it was Carl Jung, boys, and it was one of my favorite sayings. He's like, I think it goes, the fact that science and spirituality are deemed separate does a disservice to them both.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
When all the original scientists were spiritualists, you know.
exactly.
Yeah. I think there's just a lot more to be known on this planet. Giants, elongated skulls. Like this world was more diversified in humanoid people at the very least, you know. I mean, aliens are kind of on the bottom of my list as far as creators of megalithic sites, but I feel like there could have been hybrids, but who knows? But there's something a lot more that we're not being let known, because giants are in every culture. And I did a segment on giants, but it didn't make the theatrical because it's kind of unrelated. But at the same time, Paul Wallace does a pretty good job of talking about that. He gets contacted by people that are in like military spots in Afghanistan where giants are being reported being seen still. So something's not being told to us.
So like a million things are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think, me and Loomis have discussed this before. I mean, you've always saw those, the UFOs. There's obviously something living under the ocean out there. Like, there's something that lives under the ocean. There's a race of people or beings that live under the ocean. And, the US Congress actually said that like 3 months ago, and no one cares. You know what I mean? They literally said that in the last thing. Like, people live under the aliens live under the ocean. Oh yeah, really? No one cares.
Trippin'. I've met them.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to me and what I've talked about with Loomis on his show, I've gone out of my body a bunch of times. One time I went to under the ocean. I knew because I asked him, "Where are we?" This master kind of guy. And he said, "We're in a city that's at the bottom of the ocean." So, and they're extremely advanced, spiritually advanced, and not their technology doesn't really look like anything. It just looks like beautiful, like just everything is nice and beautiful and homey and warm. But spiritually, they're extremely advanced, you know. But like, yeah, I've met them, you know. Like, there is places in this world, in this realm, that where higher, more advanced beings hang out and live, and they help from a distance, you know, but they can't just they honor our free will. They're not just going to jump in here and fix everything,
right?
You know.
Yeah.
Well, mate, we've got, well, I think the good thing about this is that, number one, it was very humbling to be on the list of people that were on the documentary. I was very humbled by that and honoured to be a part of that list. Now we need to have a chat. I need to talk to Seb, or talk to Zach. You know what I mean? Like there's more conversations that are going to come out of this collaboration together as well.
And more exploration. I mean,
yes,
there's a lot more that can be done here. Like, I wanted to ask you, Loomis, to dive into talking about how you monitor you show the magnetic anomalies by putting your compass down. And I mean, that's kind of a really rad thing. And I'd love to hear more about it. Like, because that just doesn't happen just anywhere. You can, you put your compass down on the ground. It doesn't do that.
No. So that was all I had. I had a magnet, I thought, but I couldn't find it. I mean, I don't know if that would have helped, but that was my crude testing. But now I think back, I'm like, I have an EMF meter. I should have brought that. Of course, a tri-field meter would have been awesome too. But that's what we need to go back to do. But putting that compass on that thing, I mean, it really swirled around. And I was like, whoa, this is weird. And I was with my son.
Yeah.
So he came. But we were exhausted. We didn't get any sleep hardly at all the night before we camped. And my son's air mattress deflated. So I gave him mine, and he didn't sleep very good. We didn't sleep very good. Then we well, let's scout it out. And then we actually just decided to do it. So I was pretty unprepared, but at least the compass gave us anomalies. And the stupidest thing, I was so tired on the way down. There was an actual corner, an actual thing, like an edge that we walked down on for a while. And why I didn't fucking record that, I got to go back. That's all I got to say. Yeah,
I'm gonna go with you this time too.
yes, you
I
both
really-
you all should, but I know Triff,
Yeah.
it's a little harder for you to come up this way, but
Well, no, I'm looking into making that happen, gentlemen. Don't worry, I'm looking into
Okay.
making that happen.
Wonderful.
Yeah, 'cause obviously
Yeah.
there's some. I don't need to worry about accommodation. Just give me
Well,
a couch, because I don't need much more than that.
you can stay at my couch, but we're gonna have to go inner island and we'll just camp. I mean, it's
Yeah,
too,
absolutely. No,
it's so
look, I'm
expensive out
definitely, I'm definitely, yeah. Look, and it's the same thing, boys. We do the same thing. It's a passion project. We do it on a shoestring, and we just follow our nose as well. And it's fascinating how you find things when you follow your nose. But magnetic anomalies and UAPs and UFOs, they all go together. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Have you shown Loomis? Have you shown these guys the map I sent you that shows the magnetic anomalies on the Big Island that have
no.
been mapped out by pilots? Because they're, air tourism is pretty big here to fly over the volcanoes and
Let me see if I
and
have
other things, and so there's these. It's VFRmaps.com, VFR, and it shows these maps. It's for pilots. It shows runways, it shows coordinates, things like that. It's either VFRmaps.org or .com or something like that.
I have it in
And
my phone. Let me see
Yeah.
if I can put it on the screen. Okay.
If you go to the Big Island and go to the south part, close to South Point, there's multiple magnetic anomalies that will shift the compass up to 10 or 12 degrees. And pilots are trained to avoid these areas so it doesn't affect their gyroscopes and their instruments, because they might crash. They've got passengers. And when I saw that, that's really what put me on the hunt for the vortex energies spots of Hawaii. And so I know these magnetic anomalies are real. Pilots know about them. And I'm certain that ancient peoples knew about them too. And they marked them with structures and did ceremonies at these places. And so follow the magnetism. That's something that can't lie to us. They can't fake that. You can't adjust the magnetism from a distance. You have to. I don't even know if you can do it from close. It's there. It's a force of nature, and it's just real interesting. Did either of you guys pull it up or find it? The VFR maps.
I'm working on it right now. I'm getting it. I just airdropped it to my computer, so. But my desktop is a terrible mess right now from all this work I've been doing. So give me a minute here. You guys just keep chatting, and I'll find it here.
But yeah, I mean, all over the world where those anomalies are, we could call them vortexes or like cross points of ley lines.
Yep.
All over the world, that's where these ancient sites are. I was one time traveling in this was in Finland. No, this was in Sweden, and I was camping on what they called an ancient burial mound, but it was just a giant mound, really tall. I'd have to say 60, 78 feet tall.
Mhm.
And we camped up there, and in the morning a guy came up, and he is a scientist who studied magnetic ley lines, and he said that's a place where there's all these ley lines cross, but yeah, it's all over the world. That tends to be the case, and these are like these vortex sites where all these natural energetic earth energy lines cross.
And Gympie, so where that polygonal masonry is, boys, Gympie's there. The Gympie's on the lines. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to. Oh, we lost Zach. I just wanted to add in, Triffin, that when I was there, and I did not get a chance to say that right there. I was like, there's no pyramids made out of polygonal masonry, but that was wrong. There's one in Greece that's made out of polygonal masonry.
There is, yeah.
It's the Elanco pyramid or something. So it is possible that whatever was at Gympie was, well, some of it was made into that wall. But we losing. Oh, there he is.
You, Loomis.
Oh, you did.
Text you another screenshot. It's
Okay.
VFR map, no S, just VFRmap.com. You can. It shows. I think it works for the whole United States and Hawaii. You guys should go to VFR map if you want to see these magnetic disturbances, they call them. And yeah,
see if I can. Put
I
that
just
on
sent
the
a
screen.
screenshot, so if you can.
Yep, I can do
Yeah,
that.
I was just saying, Zach, that the Gympie where that polygonal masonry wall is, that that's where the ley lines cross here in Australia. There's a massive magnetic anomaly. Do you know what I was thinking too? When Zach was mentioning about the helicopters and the air tourism and stuff like that. You know, we've talked about now. And this is a fresh idea; it just came to me. We talked about navigation. And how did they navigate to these different sites around the planet? The fact that they obviously were global in nature, they were seafaring. What if that's how they navigated, boys? What if they used the magnetism and the ley lines and the magnetic points to navigate from one spot to the other? That's interesting. That's just a exactly. Thought.
It's almost like the subway line for a UFO craft. I'm into UFO research a lot. I was with MUFON, Mutual UFO Network, for a few years, and I do my own independent research now into UFOs. And they tend to use volcanoes as hotspots, and they can just zip around and stop on a dime. And it's almost like they're using those magnetic lines as a transportation system, like you're saying, you know, and being able, and even in the stars. Yeah, if you look at that image right there, I just took that screenshot, and that's right down south near where we've been researching. And there's a magnetic disturbance of as much as 6 degrees at ground level in that vicinity. And there you can see the link to VFRmap.com, the URL.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and those are all over the Big Island and other islands as well.
Well, you know, I'll just say something too. Just throwing it in there is you can feel it. Like I can feel it when I first read that book, and I was I went searching on my own in that area on the roads that I could drive, and I was just kind of sensing like, okay, where is this at? I mean, I could just feel it. It's such a strong feeling when we know that I experience, where I'm just like, oh, it's right up there. It's got to be right up there, because you get in these areas and it's just a whole different vibe.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
right. When I did on the Maui I went to the heiau that was hidden on chapter 9 and the director's cut. My friend took me up there. It's a totally hidden heiau. I had a really interesting feeling. Like it was different. It was like almost like my third eye was really clear feeling, but I don't know. It was an interesting feeling. But it's like, yeah, they put that there for a reason. Like the Hawaiians knew they needed to put that there. It wasn't just like, oh, let's put on the random hill. There was something spiritual about that spot, and I think
they're energy points, but they're also markers as well. You know, and I think if we look at a lot of the sacred sites, the sacred grid sites, I did an episode on that. Geez, that was a few years ago now. I'm 8 years in, boys. I'm not too sure. I think this will be episode 220 something for me. So, but we did an episode on the sacred grid. What it seems it's missing, if you think about Smithy, there's the Pyramid of Giza's there, the temple in Vietnam, there's the one, there's like half a dozen sites, and what I think's missing from them is whatever powers them, boys. Right, the power crystal or you know what I mean? Like that's the only thing I can say. Whatever actually truly activates these energetic centers is gone now. And I think, I wonder whether or not all that stuff was taken prior to the last cataclysm. So we just put it away, need to take everything that makes these things work properly and tuck it away because we need to maintain it and keep it secret, or not secret, but look after it. And I wonder that these magnetic points, these energetic points, and that navigation thing, that's an idea, man. That's an idea. Navigating by the magnetics is very, very interesting.
You know, an interesting point to add to what you're saying, Triffin, is that what powers them? Okay, there's a lot of research that's been done on like star forts around the world, and they've found that they have a natural upwelling of spring water underneath them. And what's interesting about this pyramid site that we still have to investigate further is that in the book we referred to, the guy talks about, and I've heard from other people as well, who that said that you can hear almost a waterfall within it. And you know, there's no visible waterfall, but you can clearly hear a waterfall within this thing. So that is exactly, it's kind of like there is this power source in these specific sites. Star forts all around the world were built on these specific sites, megalithic structures all around the world. But I think that upwelling water source, that deep water that comes up from those areas, is it's its own power source. There's some very
it creates the
magical
negative ions.
shit.
It has the negative ions that can be felt, like you were saying. You can feel it in your body, you know, and possibly there was a technology that used that to power their craft. I remember reading about a certain type of rock. When you put it in water, it created like a propulsion in a way. Like you could get into a canoe, take this rock, put it in the back, and it would push you away, like a chemical reaction.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Bosnian pyramid had a lot of energy. I've never felt anything like that. And people go there for healing, and like, you know, there is something in there, or it's just on a spot, one of the two. I don't know, but there's definitely something there. And it's even kind of crazy to me that some of the bigger people in the, I don't know, whatever you call megalithic community, some of them don't even believe in it, but it's an energy site, you know, as for sure, whatever it is, you know.
Did you ever see, I remember like 15 years ago watching, maybe 12, 13 years ago, watching a documentary on the Bosnian pyramid, and it was focused around the main guy who was really unearthing it back then.
Yeah.
But man, in that documentary, he had so much. There was so much kind of above view perspective of the whole area, and how they all look like pyramids. There's like 7 of them, and they just really freaking look like pyramids from above.
They do.
Yeah. It's a complex thing. I interviewed Jock Doubleday back in the day on my show as well. He did a lot of the original camera work for old mate Hamir. What's his name? Samir
Osmonic.
Yeah. He did a lot of the original camera work for Samir, and a lot of the original excavation. And that big stone you found that you took a photo of in the actual pyramid itself, the map stone. I've got a translation of that somewhere. I was trying to find it. That's the problem though. That's the problem though, boys. When you start researching, I don't even know how many folders I've got. You know what I mean? There's books and gigabytes of data there.
It's like Terrence McKenna said, when you have a leaky jar, it's hard to know where to put it all.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I couldn't find the map stone because that was a few years ago, but there's definitely something there, and I think. Look, I wonder, we talk about the cataclysm, right? So obviously the Bosnian pyramid, potentially that's covered in dirt. You know, the pyramids you boys are looking at are covered in dirt. There's definitely a few. There's one, I think we saw it, Loomis, when I was on the drive. There's that one, looks like a pyramid, doesn't it? In the middle of the valley, there's this literal pyramid-shaped hill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the one. It's deep on private property. but it's just sitting out there, and it looks like a four-sided pyramid that's been covered with dirt. And I wonder, boys, one of the things we struggle in to do with this research is to understand how complete and unbelievable the cataclysm that happened 12,800 years ago was, I think. You know what I mean? Like it was total. Like continent-wide wildfires, 400-foot tidal waves, like dirt and silt and crap moving, volcanoes. Like it would have been, there's no reference that we have for what actually truly happened.
Right.
And then you've got to add in, and I know that Loomis and I, it's on our list, you've got to add the mud flood in, right? What is the mud flood? When did it happen? Why is there buildings that have 2 stories underground? That's here in Brisbane as well. There's buildings here in Brisbane that have 2 stories underground. But that then, if you add all that into it, that shifts the timeline in Australia back again as well. It's like, well, hang on a minute, when were these buildings actually built? And then how much, like, I don't think we understand the devastation that actually truly took place. And Australia would have been the least affected, like as far as where we are in the continent and where we are. But we still have the 400-foot tidal wave. Like, I mean, you know, we're waiting for a cyclone to come in off the coast. The waves at the coast right now, well, the surfers are having a ball. Because the waves are about 4 or 5 meters, but they're predicted.
Oh yeah, you guys are about to have a huge storm.
And you know that it's going to peak at what 10-15 meters. We're talking about a tidal wave that was the best part of 150 meters, right?
Yeah,
that was the cataclysm, right? That was 150 odd meter tidal wave that went around the planet, and then it settled, right? I think, you know, we need to understand as well, boys, as far as numbers are concerned, it's like 10,000 square kilometers or 10 million square kilometers are now underwater that were not underwater prior to 13,000 years ago. And I think, you know, and the cover up too, I don't know if you boys have heard the conversation with the man Loomis have had about this, but I'd like to throw this at you boys. So let me paint a picture for a second. So cataclysm's coming, right? That's the story. Cataclysm's coming. Okay, there is a race, or you know, there's a civilization that exists on this planet that were scientific and spiritual in nature. The negative, the builders, the builder culture. Where's that feedback coming from? There's massive feedback coming from somewhere.
I don't know.
Is it over?
Yeah, I think it might be you, Zach.
I was cupping the speaker so I could hear you a little better.
Oh, okay. I can turn myself up a little bit.
Yeah, you might be a little, turn up a little bit. And I'm just going to throw it out there. I put a call-in number on the screen. I got some people. You guys can chat in the chat, or if you want to call in, the number is 1-937-783-7259. So we can do callers if you guys want. But anyway.
Yeah, how's that? Is that a bit better? Is that a bit better? Can you?
Yeah, that's a little better. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know how long you guys have to. Just Zach, Seb, I know you guys took time off work, so if you got to go at any time, let me know. Yeah.
Pretty soon. We got to drive to Hilo for a premiere of a show that our coworkers did over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just let me know when you guys, need to go, Seb, or whatever.
And I want to mention too that we have a screening room here at my TV studio that I want to screen Sacred Site. So whenever you have an idea of date in mind, we can make that happen.
I can do it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Soon enough. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yep. Happy to do it.
So we talk about the cover-up, boys. Let me throw a theory at you. Or Seven, Zach. I know me and Loomis wax lyrical about this. And so, okay, cataclysm's coming, right? That's the story. Build the ark. Get on top of the hill. It's the story. That's the story. That's the story, right? And what if there's 2 civilizations that exist? Okay, what if there is a materialistic civilization? Okay, and then there's a spiritual, scientific civilization. Probably the builder culture is what we're looking at there, right? There's 2 different civilizations that exist at one time, right? And who's going to build the bigger boats or the better boats? The materialists are probably going to build the better boats to survive the cataclysm. Okay, the spiritualists, maybe not, or maybe they need to use the boats to survive. Okay, the dominant culture that survived the cataclysm was not the science or spiritualistic, the scientific spiritual culture that we're talking about. The dominant culture that survived the cataclysm was this materialistic culture that we now exist in under today. And over the past 12,000 years, this culture and the survivors of the cataclysm
No, I got bad signal too.
systematically tried to wipe out whatever evidence was left over of the previous civilization. I just wonder, like that came to me one night, whether or not that's, I think it's got a little bit of legs to it. It did explain a few things, because there does seem to be a systematic destruction of this previous understanding.
I think that would be good material for part 2, is kind of picking up the story at that point, like really looking at the cataclysm that happened 12,800 years ago, because that's also one of the big mysteries. You know, pyramids are built to withstand these cataclysms.
That's right. Polygonal masonry is built to withstand this stuff. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And the indigenous cultures all around the world that inherited these sites, I don't think they were capable to build them, which is kind of that inconsistency, you know, the copper tools, and so that's also part of the mystery. There is a legend that Hawaii Islands, because we have a mountain here called Mauna Kea, it's over 14,000 feet tall, that there were survivors of a flood. It's even in the Hawaiian creation story that they survived on this mountaintop. So it's built into the Kumulipo creation myth, creation chant of the Hawaiians. And I've also remember reading about giant bones, here we are back to giants, being found on Mauna Kea. I'd have to dig deep to find that info again. But supposedly there were red-haired bodies, bones, with red hair on them, found on the mountains here in Hawaii.
That's right.
So the mystery deepens. I mean, the more we research, the more questions we're left with.
Yes.
And to echo this, the indigenous, especially on the coastlines, don't like settling along the coastlines. They like to be up above the behind the hill.
Right.
Right. And why is that? Because once upon a time, the people that were down on the coastline were wiped out.
Yeah.
Got wiped out. Yeah. Just everything. And again, you talk about coastlines. Where are all our cities? Where are all our things? Like when you talk about the cataclysm, you know, the best way to think about it is what would 100+ meter tidal wave globally do to our civilization? We're done. It's over.
It wiped us out. It wiped most of the cities out. That's why Colorado has, they're the Mile High city. You know, Denver, the Mile High city. That's why there's NORAD and these military bunkers up there.
Yeah.
That's
good point.
They know that it happened before. It's going to happen again someday.
All the seed banks at height, all the, you know what I mean? If you look into the seed banks that are around the world that they've made, that's very interesting. They're all at height behind coastlines, all that stuff. Yeah, it's all very.
Yeah.
You know, there's a one of the guys, John, that helped out with the documentary. We're doing a series, Everything is Connected, because it is. Like you can literally, there's a massive picture that's becoming clear. Right, I mean, unlocking the code boards. You know what I mean? It's like the Matrix code. It sort of drops into place. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this connects to that, connects to that, and all this stuff on a global, in a global sense, is connected. We're all connected, and I think, you know, one of the reasons we talk about why is there a cover up. Well, if we realised that there was a global builder culture that was spiritual in nature, that had a common thread and a common belief system, a common understanding, that means that color, creed, religion, sex, none of it matters, man, because we're all on the same big blue ball.
That's the cover. That's it. That's the main reason for the cover up, is because that fantasy would go away.
That's right. We would get along. And the thing is, like, do you know what doing the podcast?
And that's bad for business.
Exactly. It's terrible, bad for business, especially in the military. You know, one of the things doing this podcast over the last 8 years is I've spoken to people from all over the planet, And we are all the same. Yes, cultural differences, language differences, different interpretations, but everyone, if we talk about this subject, everyone loves it. Doesn't matter who you are. You know what I mean? If you are called to look into the ancient anomalies and the ancient civilizations, then this is what we're doing. This is the reason why, because it surpasses everything.
Or they don't know they love it yet. If they haven't dug into it, they don't know they love it yet. But most people are. I can talk about some things that are pretty divisive, but this kind of stuff, it draws a bigger audience. It does.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, boys, do you want to see the latest? Do you want an exclusive? I've got an exclusive for you from Down Under.
Sure.
Nothing. This has not been seen by anybody, apart from the inner circle.
It's going to be seen by YouTube. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to say, guys, we all have quite a bit more expeditions to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I won't talk about it right now, but there's some pretty cool things. I made a list.
Yeah.
And look, boys. Yeah, give me a little bit of time. I'm coming. All right. I'm on the way.
Yeah. Come over and we'll go camp on top of this pyramid.
Yes.
That's what we got to do. We got to camp on top.
That's what we're doing. That's exactly
what we got to do.
Oh boy,
we'll never know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go around it to the back of it and climb up it or something. I don't know.
I think a lot of these sites where there's the extreme concentrations of natural divine earth energy, and I'll tell this little story real quick. I knew a older woman, very amazing woman. She had lived in the Shaolin temples in China to learn medical Qigong. She had traveled the world. She was a profound individual. And she had once gone to in the 60s, she had gone to the pyramids in Egypt, and they had very low security back then. So she actually snuck in to get into an inner chamber with her and her friend. And they had it roped off, but she went through and she got into this inner chamber. It was like a large room with a different stone in the very center. So she went and stood on that stone, and her body collapsed, and she was passed out for a minute. But in that minute of time, she time traveled back to see what Egypt had been like in its heyday. And there was a flowing river, and it was lush and green and beautiful, and the pyramids were just brilliantly shining in the sun. And so that's one thing that, firsthand I heard from her, but there's a lot of corroborating evidence about how these sites of major energy convergence can also be like portals, portals for spiritual purposes, for visions of time travel, type things, stuff like that.
You boys understand that the only.
I've heard that story. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing we have about the pyramids is that they were built to transmit consciousness from the earth to the stars. That's the translation. That's the only thing we have. So the fact that you just said that story, and the amount of transformative experiences I have heard about people in the King's Chamber and all that sort of stuff it's unreal. And you can have interesting experiences out there, man. I think if you boys haven't listened to the telepathy tapes yet, that's taken over the internet by storm. Do that. They are worth listening to. They're basically proving that ESP and telepathy is real.
Is that the one with the autistic kids?
Yeah, the non-speakers. Yeah.
No, that sounds cool.
Incredible.
Well, actually, here's something fascinating. I know Matt won't mind me saying it, because he works with some guys, and there's a big guy, Kyle, that he's been working with for a few years, and he actually came with us. The footage that I'm about to show you, Kyle was there with us, because he likes to get out and about. And I was working on the plateau, taking measurements and sweeping stuff away. And I realized that I'd look up and Kyle would be looking at me, and I would answer a question. I would talk to him like I was answering questions. And I didn't even think about that until I heard these telepathy tapes. And because Cole likes me, I've seen him a few times. We've shared, I've told him some things. But every time I've spoken to him, I'm answering a question. So then that begs the question, was he asking me questions and I was answering his questions? I just couldn't hear them clearly in my head. It's a weird thing. But I think that whilst we're in interesting times, boys, all this stuff is accelerated. Okay? I think things are going to get real weird. Right? If you don't have a conspiracy theorist friend, get one now because you're going to need one.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Conspiracy theorists are like there's no losses they've had yet. They're like right.
No.
We're 50 and 0 as it sits.
Yeah, 50 and 0. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Did you have something to show, Triffin?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Is it right?
Is it right here?
That's it.
Yep.
Right. So you can see here the classic doorway, right? And I think it's the pillars either side. Okay. Right. You see the pillars either side. Okay. And then it's been cut out at the top as well. Now, if you see, there's one of our little star holes there. Right. So basically, and that is the universal symbol for gateway. Right, the two pillars either side and the bar over the top. That's the universal sign on the global. So again, symbolism globally is interesting as well, right? That means gateway, doorway, whatever, Now the reason it's so worn, and the reason we've never seen it before, is the water runs straight over it. So it's been very much worn away, and it was only this sort of angle of the dangle that we got right to even see it, and then we cleared it out. And basically, so that's that. When I showed you that 1, 2, 3, that's 3.
Yeah. Wow.
And then Loomis reminded me that we saw stuff under the bridge around the river, right? So there's more holes under the bridge, under the river. I'm going to have to go back there as well. Like we could be looking at I don't even know. It's genuine stuff, boys. This isn't. No one else's research. This is my research. These are things that we're finding that no one else has ever found, and it's fascinating. Gateway to what is the question, right? So if you think that's the gateway, I'm having trouble trying to match these holes up with a constellation. There's a second set of holes I need to match up. I don't know what software or things to use. We basically got lucky. We got lucky with the one in the documentary because we looked at that cluster so many times. However, the research continues, boys. So this is a gateway to what? I don't know. However, hey, thanks for having me this morning, gentlemen. This has been very cool. Awesome to meet you, boys. And yes, I'll be there. Give me a little while. I'm coming.
We're waiting for you. Well, the pyramid's not going anywhere.
No. And we have some stuff that we can't say.
I've got to run too. Thanks for.
Yeah. Well, Zach, thanks for joining. Me. And we have some future expeditions to do and all that, screenings, all that. I'm going to come over and visit you guys in just a little while. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Take care, guys. We'll stay in touch.
Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Sacred Site is now live. Aloha.
Let's go, Sacred Site.
Yeah.
Send it.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sacred Site.
All right, brothers.
Yep. Check it out.
Okay.
Thanks, boys. Take care.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, I'm just so happy this all came together. And Seb, you added some great comedy into it, and that I think I didn't realize how serious it all was until I put it together, and I had some comedy to balance it out. So I'm thankful for that, man.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
Cool. I'm tracking a guy through the bush. He's about 6'1". That's some eggs for breakfast. How do you know that? I've run through before.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
So, mate, do you want to send me whatever details, Sacred Site info, whatever they need to do to get the documentary? It's got a fair few people interested, so I can post it up on all my socials.
Yeah. And then those links I sent you, if you want to share with people so they don't have to pay anything, like, it's not much they got to pay, but I mean, friends and family. And off air, I can give you a promo code so all you guys can share it differently. than
Okay, cool.
for free, but yeah, that sacredsite.info is where you're going to find the documentary. It's there, and it's all live now. So thanks for the few people that are listening. A few there, 3. Not very good today.
No,
Yeah,
it's
and for
really
all
fun.
those who listen to it later, in their daily routine, tune in on Spotify or different platforms. You guys just check this video out. You really gotta see the director's cut, the whole thing. It really is phenomenal. I was telling Loomis right before we recorded this, for me as someone who's long time conspiracy awareist,
And you're a conspiracy analyst.
yeah, a
We need to change.
seasoned one, very
I'm right.
seasoned.
Yes,
I'm writing that down.
we all are. We're all vets
Yeah.
here.
So, but as being me and who I am, I love this film. It's a breath of fresh air. It's like, and I want, you may watch it and go, hey, maybe they're not finding that much stuff, but you guys got to realize we're out here doing it. We got no funding other than ourselves. We got no agenda. We're not serving anyone. And we're also saying, Loomis is saying a lot more than you will ever hear in any other documentary on megalithic structures. He's saying way more that's very titillating to me and anyone else who is seasoned in this stuff. It's satisfying. There's a lot to chew on, even though we're just scratching the surface of some sites, and we're getting out there and we're looking. It's fun,
Yep.
It's a fun adventure, and hey, we're not out. We haven't proven yet that we've found anything, but join us for the journey, and there's definitely going to be more of this coming down the road. So, just tune in watch the director's cut, the whole thing. You'll love it. And I'm out. Love you guys.
Love you, man.
Love
Take care, brother.
Thank you. We'll talk soon,
Yeah.
dude.
Thank you. Thanks for everything, Seb. And it's good to just put truth in there too. Like, can I throw in Oleg Demigard talking about false flags? Yep, because it's all part of the picture. Like, we can't leave these things out. We can't
Everything
leave.
Is connected. Yeah.
Everything is connected. Yes. Yeah.
It's all part of it.
It's all part of the whole picture. Yeah.
It's just all in all, it's another brick in the pyramid.
That's a good way to finish it. Thanks, boys. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to future collaborations and work.
Yep. The table has been set, but that's it. This is just the beginning.
Absolutely.
Mahalo, guys.
Mahalo, brother.
Boys. Thanks, man.
All right. You. Take care. All right, Triffin. And so, and then there was 2. Well,
do you know what I thought I would do? Just a bit of fun to finish, right?
Sure.
I've got here just a little book here, right? And we're going to sacred site, this exploration, all the things we've been talking about. Let's see. We talked about synchronicities, the muse. Let's see. So you can close my eyes.
Let's just see one more time, because I got more people in the viewing now. To throw out the call-in number one more time. I have time, but I know those guys had to work.
Yeah, I've got time.
All right. Well, let's see. Excuse me. The call numbers on the screen: 1-937-783-7259. Can take calls
and don't hesitate to comment questions, queries, concerns.
Or at least keep the chat live. Maybe people caught on late. The issue I have with doing live streams in Hawaii is no one knows what the fuck Hawaii time is, because it's the second to last time zone in the world, and they're just like, wait, where is it? What time? And then they always come late. So anyway, go ahead, Triffin, and read away.
Well, now, if we're going to hang around, we'll leave that. You know what I thought I'd do? I'll show you this, because I'm okay with this, because this is only just part of it, but this is the most interesting bit. Chuck that up on the screen for the awesome people. It's right angles again, dude. Right angles again.
Oh, yeah.
You can sort of see the doorway a bit better. See, there's your one pillar. Okay, and you can see there was a second pillar in here as well, and then there's the depression that's been carved out there as well. But it is perfect right angles again. And I imagine that would have been as deep as the imprint is once
You
upon a
think
time.
so? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Judging by this bit here at the top, right, you can see how deep it is, and it looks to be a very similar cut. But again, the water runs over that. The water runs straight over it, so it's been worn away.
Yeah,
over
that makes sense.
who knows how many thousands of years it's been worn away. But yeah, that's part of the fresh discoveries, man. That sacred site. You know, that it led me to do that. And we went up there not expecting to find anything, and found heaps more stuff. You know.
Yeah, that's cool. And see, that's why this stuff just it needs a sequel. I mean, it's not only just that. I mean, we're just scratching the surface of some great explorations that we're going to uncover. I think I really do. And the way that it's all opened up, I don't take that lightly. Like when all this stuff.
No,
happens.
This is the whole thing. We didn't. Yeah, when me and Matt went up there, he just wanted to see it for himself, right? He hadn't actually been there to the imprint site, and he just wanted to see it and see it all for himself. And we start digging around and scratching around. So, hang on a minute, there's something over here, there's something over there. This is actually much deeper than we even imagined. And you know, no one knows about this stuff. This is not us interpreting other people's research. This is us doing our own research and our own discoveries. You know, there is literally no papers, no article, no nothing written about any of this stuff. And no one has seen it before us. But the curious thing is, and you've been to the axe grinding site, it's right there. It's not like, and people go there the whole time. People that were there when we were there, weren't they? They're like, yeah, we had two lots of visitors.
Yeah, it's hidden in plain. It's hidden in plain sight. It just took the sight to see the site.
That's exactly. Yeah.
So
you got to look at it from a different perspective, man. That's all it is. That's all it is.
You know how when I came down and visited you, when we did the live stream at your house, I said, you asked me, how has this changed my perspective doing the documentary? And I mentioned that what I started to see is I started to look at mountains differently. You know, is that hill over there a pyramid? I started to look at walls differently because this stuff is hidden in plain sight. So these kind of things are around, but nobody's looking for them, you know, because everybody's going to work every day. And not to mention just the fact that most people don't believe in this because you don't have science behind it, like official science or archaeology really behind it. They think they've already covered the map. They think that we're just a bunch, you know, they just think that they've got it all in the basket and it's all sealed and done and they don't have to do any more research. But there's so much they're leaving out and they don't even realize. A lot of them are just repeaters. They don't actually know that they're repeating what they learned in school rather than thinking they think they're experts. And yeah, they could be doing some great stuff, but they're not. Unfortunately,
yeah, I like, you know, and it's in one of our episodes anyway. But you took one of the things I said in the documentary was about how a lot of doctorates and a lot of PhDs and all that sort of stuff are written off nothing, right? We're all looking at the same set of evidence, and people are drawing so many conclusions from such little evidence that we need to make sure we're aware of that. You know, because it's like, no, you're not exactly the expert because it's just the same lot of evidence that everybody else is using. It's not, you know. Yeah,
they're not exactly. They're not exactly doing anything new. That's the thing. Like, Heather Arnold, who's in the documentary, she researches the giants of Aruba, which is one of the episodes you guys out there can listen to if you haven't. But she dated an archaeologist, and that he was about as worthless as anybody, like, I mean, I'm not saying that all archaeologists are bad, and I even put that disclaimer in the documentary, because there's some good ones out there, but majority of them aren't searching. And he didn't care about any of this stuff that she was researching, so she goes out and does it herself. Like, it's really hot where she lives apparently, and she'll go, like, when it cools off a bit, and do some pretty dangerous things just to find the truth. And that's what we're doing too, is we're doing these things, the research ourselves. No one else is going to do it for us.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting stuff, man. And I think I didn't think for a million years that, I echo what Zach and Seb have said, and like I said before, I didn't know where I was going to get the imprint research on. I'm going to deal with this arm. Still perfecting the sanctum. I didn't know where I was going to get this research to be put out, and I really appreciate the imprint research. And again, one conversation with those boys, I've got some other things that I can do. I can, you know what I mean? Like, this is expanding. Like we've had that discussion. You helped me, I've helped you. We've dragged each other out back onto the mic some years. You know what I mean? So we take a bit of a break. Come on, man. Let's research something cool. Let's get back to what we love. And that's what this is about, man. It's about sharing and caring, and there's a basis of love, man, between the brothers and the boys and everyone that listens. And it's it's such a cool thing to be a part of. And as you say, number 2 is already written. We haven't even tried to write number 2, and it's already done.
I know it's already, like, I mean, there's already quite a few expeditions on my list that are going to take up the bulk of it already, at least, it's coming together already, and this just came out, the first one.
And honestly, man, just kudos to you. The fact that you did all of that is so excellent. And I think just that I can only imagine the hours that you put into it. I can only imagine the time that's gone into the video editing and the audio editing and choosing it, cutting it, and shutting it. I just think it's really amazing that what you did. And it would have been a massive learning experience, and you're going to take that learning experience into the next one. And, we're all gonna. The thing is that you stepped. Once some more resources become available, I'm going to get one of those gimbal things that you've got. You know what I mean? Because I thought that was very cool how you did a lot of that footage on a little handheld gimbal.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a few little techie things that I know that I now need, which is going to help me step my game up, especially when I'm in the field and doing things, and being able to capture things live a lot easier. Like there's so many things, man. And we've got I'm looking forward to the roadside. I really enjoyed that. It's probably a bit of road noise, but I really enjoyed doing the roadside with you. We spoke a lot about this stuff as well. Don't forget that's coming out too.
That's coming out. And so for those listening, not only with all of us that were on here, I have with you, Triffin, an on the road podcast. That's probably the next thing I'm going to release. And then while we were seeing those UFOs on the Big Island trip with Zach and Seb, we were doing a podcast outside. So these are things that are, experiences that are from the documentary going to be to you listeners. So it'll be fun because you'll be able to piece it together after you've seen the documentary to listen to these things.
Absolutely. No, it's very cool, man. It's very, very cool to be a part of. And I look forward to everything that comes with it. You know what I mean? And like I said, we'll get it up and around, and get some sales done, and I don't know. We'll see what we do with it to get it out to as many people as we can, because I think it's important that.
Well, I put on the website that if you have any intel or info to contribute to the research, don't hesitate to email me. So I'm hoping that what we're doing is going to spur others to come forward and back our research and help with intel and things that we might not be seeing, and so I hope that that's what happens, that it kind of spurs that. And You know, and there's people in the documentary, a few anyway, that might want to come boots on the ground with us to do some of this stuff. I did invite a couple of the people on this one, but they were like Mike Collins and Nikki Anna Jones are both in Turkey right now. They maybe we're gonna make it, but I don't even know if they've seen the documentary because they're so busy doing some kind of thing over there. But that's the thing, like, you know, this is a larger community that we're connecting.
Oh, look, Egypt, Turkey, and South America are definitely, and Hawaii is definitely on my list.
Yeah.
You know, I need to see Göbekli Tepe. I need to stand in front of the pyramid, and you know, I need to go to South America. And look, everything.
Sure.
I've got a fairly good. I think it's going to be cool, man. I think things are lining up. Things are working out. You know, for me personally, and I think all that stuff is going to continue to happen as we move forward. And I think opportunities are going to open themselves up as well.
I think so. And when we get you up here, you know, I mean, it's expensive for the Aussie dollar, but at least accommodation you won't have to worry about, and you know, we'll figure it out, man.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah.
I'll come for a week and we'll figure it out, and you know, chip in, pitch in. I'm pretty easy, mate. You know what I mean. I'll fill my backpack up with all my gear that I need to bring, and we'll get after it, man.
It's awesome, man. So we're gonna have to do a swap cast soon. Get some ideas for the people. We've been doing those for a while, you know. Get some more.
Well, I think we owe the Sumerians King's List a deep dive.
Yeah,
I think that's got to be the next one, because you know, you mentioned in part of the documentary in the director's cut, and I think that's another window of research that needs to be looked at. Yeah, and I think it's going to help everything else come together as well.
Yeah, that's because that goes to our origin story, or connects anyway.
Definitely connects to the origin story. Definitely connects to the Everything's Connected series as well. Because it does. It definitely, it's something, you know. But again, it's the thing that no one else wants to talk about. It's one of those things, you know. And because it is on that list, then that makes it onto our list. Because it's like, if we don't explore it and give it our 10 cents and our little spin, I just think I think that, again, that's what just came to me, because I think that part of the research is going to open up other parts of the research, which is what always happens.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Things open up things that open up things. Look, you know, we already talked about it, but just the fact of how all us became involved in this, and I didn't go looking for it, you know. I didn't.
Yeah, you said, I'm going to do a documentary, and I said, cool, how much stuff do you want? You know what I mean? Like, that's literally what it was. Like, man, I've got research that's been sitting for a long time.
Yeah. And you can't fit it all into one documentary. No way. You know?
No, that's right.
You know? I mean, we're not loaded with tons of, in both of our locations, like tons of, you know, crazy sites, but we're uncovering sites. And that's, again, the job that nobody else is doing. And so even like Seb said, there's not huge revelations in the documentary, but they're clues to revelations that could be much bigger.
Oh, look, and again, the fact that we, as independent researchers and explorers, have found anything that's original needs to be applauded.
Yeah.
I think, you know, me and the boys are like, we wanted to match up the other set of holes to another constellation quickly, and, you know, we always wanted it to happen now. But it's like, hang on a minute. We found another imprint. We found another set of holes. We've already matched one set of holes. The imprint exists. It's like, calm down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how much more do you need to find? You know what I mean? Like, it's like you've literally found something that no one else has found in this, to do with this realm of research. You know, I think we need to, you know, and that, you know, I don't want to give the documentary away, but the anomalies and the things that you found definitely warrant more investigation as to who, what, when, where, how, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. Yeah. No, it's great. I had fun doing it. I am more inspired to talk about this stuff than all the other stuff that I cover on Chant It Down. And the reason why is just simple. It's answering it's going to some of the biggest questions on this planet. It's like, yeah, things are fucked up, things are messed up, but why are they messed up? Okay, those are symptoms of the fact that some things happen in our ancient past that we're not being told, so we're removed from our coordinates of what we're supposed to be knowing.
No, totally, absolutely. Well, brother, the rain sounds like it's settling in at my place. I might keep moving myself because we have got. There is still a big storm coming. It's just taking its time. It's due about 4 o'clock.
You got to batten down the hatches. So, yeah. Well, everybody knows.
Let's do our before we do our closing.
Let's do that. Yep.
Let's do that. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Advanced. So a guide for the advanced soul. Oh, that was pretty decisive. Okay. So the first one that I saw was rest satisfied with doing well and leave others to talk of you as they will. That's Pythagoras. And that's it, man. You've done an excellent job, and it doesn't matter what anyone says, because the people that matter love it, and that's all that matters. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit what anyone says?
Right.
Thank you. Have you learned lessons only of those who admired you and were tender with you and stood aside for you? Have you not learned great lessons from those who braced themselves against you and disputed the passage with you? That's interesting. I think it's it's interpretation as far as, look, I think, you know what I take from that actually, because I just asked about our research and sacred site and all that sort of stuff. Mate, as we move forward on this journey and as we gain traction and as these things continue to expand, there's going to be people that are going to say that, they're going to say whatever they're going to say. Do you know how much their opinion matters, Linus?
Nothing. Zero. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We do what we do. We do it with honesty, integrity, and love and understanding and open-mindedness, and that's it. There's nothing else. And awesome, man. Really awesome. I'm a little bit lost for words. I don't know what else to say apart from just.
I'm just glad that it all happened, and I thank you for coming on and experiencing the Sacred Site documentary launch with me. You're right on the top of the list of all the people there. Lots of screen time, and it was great to have you three on here because you're the three people that are actually in it that are not on a
we're the three that are physically actually in the show itself.
So it made sense, and I'm glad that it ended up that way. So yeah, brother, this is just the beginning though. So
it's
really,
just a start, man.
It's just a start.
Don't take the lessons learned and keep moving forward.
Well,
and awesome, man.
Yeah. Well, take care of yourself down there because I know you got a big storm coming, and the world's got a big storm coming too. I'd say eventually.
It's all happening. It's all happening, man.
But enjoy life and be.
That's all we can do, man. That's all we can do. Very lucky.
Yeah.
Sitting in the sanctum, talking to you. What do we really have to complain about? Not that much.
Nah.
There's a bit of water coming, and we'll continue our research, and that's what matters. So.
Yep. Well, I think that's a good place to end it. Go watch Sacred Site, sacredsite.info.
Sacredsite.info, yes.
That's it. That's where you can go. And I hope it spreads like wildfire.
Absolutely, brother. Talk soon, huh?
Okay, brother. Take care.
Cheers.
All right.